Today, I have a really great topic for you. I'm an individual who helps people reclaim their personal power, all to master their energy and manifest the life and relationships of their dreams. And this topic today is one that's near and dear to my heart, as they all are, because I was a huge self-abandoner, but I didn't even know it because I was functioning from autopilot, doing the same things that had been programmed into my brain to get love, approval, acceptance, attention, and validation that I didn't even know I had come up with a set of behaviors that were very disempowering to me and were very, very self-abandoning. So, excuse my voice. I'm recovering from an illness, so it's kind of scratchy and rocky, but we're just going to make do. The first sign that you could be self-abandoning is by constantly saying yes when you want to say no. I was a huge yes woman. I was throwing yeses around like candy falling out of a piñata until I realized that I was building up a lot of resentment. I was exhausted. I didn't feel like it was being reciprocated to me. And I started to become super mindful about my yeses and my nos because the only person that I was hurting was me. And I decided that I had to be my own priority. So I started to pay attention to every single time I was asked anything. And before giving my knee-jerk, spontaneous yes answer, I said, let me think about it. And I would pause. And then I would go within and say, is this something you really want to do? You really want to do? Not something that I should do, or I have to do, or I'm required to do. I really asked myself, do you want to do this thing? And then I would answer according to that. Now, this took some time. I had to build up a little muscle with this because I was so used to saying yes, and I still had a lot of fear around saying no. But what I realized and what I came to know is that the people in my life who really respected and valued me, they took my no's no problem. It was the other people in my life that really were trying to get from me. They're the ones that would push back with my no's. But it just took a little time for me to get comfortable with that. And then eventually I trained them to understanding that when I do say yes, I will show up with bells on, but I can't always say yes. The second sign that you could be self-abandoning is that you are silencing your needs. This means that you are downplaying your desires, your ideas, your opinions. You're not speaking up about the things that you need in life. As human beings, we all have collective needs. We need food, water, shelter, community, these type of things. But as individuals, we have individual needs. Like we need to go to bed earlier, or we need to eat gluten-free, or you really want to go walk through that park that you've been dying to walk through and you have time today. These are your individual needs. And when you downplay your needs, what you're doing is you're feeding into all the needs of somebody else. And you're giving them everything they want, but you're abandoning your sacred self. And this is always going to leave you empty, depleted, unhappy. It's going to feel like life is unfulfilling because your own individual needs are not being met. Again, I remember when I started to speak up about my needs. And I realized that I had spoken up a lot about my needs in the past, but they were kind of blown off by people. So I decided that I'm going to speak up for my needs, but I'm also going to follow through on these needs because I know that I needed this. This was for me. And if people wanted to join me, awesome. And if they didn't, then I went and got my own needs met. Now, what's interesting about this is if people are used to you filling their needs, at first they might push back a little bit. They might make you feel guilty about it. But remember, you can only impose that guilt on yourself. This is one of the 5 self-love tenets that I talk about at length in my book, The Recovering People Pleaser, a spiritual guide to reclaim your true worth and attract the love you deserve. You can find that book on all major book selling places. I will put the link right up here to Amazon. The 5th self-love tenet is self-care. And self-care requires that we attend to our own needs. When I started doing this, my life shifted in miraculous ways. And the third sign that you might be self-abandoning is walking on eggshells. You know what this means. If you're doing this in your life, you already know there's some individuals in your life who you are not honest with, who you soften everything that you say to, that you fail to share your opinion and your ideas with because they're going to blow, or they're going to run roughshod all over you, or they're going to turn everything around on you. So you end up walking on eggshells. What this is massive self-abandoning because you are not honoring your true self and speaking what you need to speak to this individual. This is extremely painful, and it is very, very difficult to thrive in life if you are walking on eggshells. When you are hyper aware of other people's moods and what they're doing and the looks on their faces and their expressions and their emotions, this is not love. This is self-betrayal and self-abandonment. The healing journey is all about returning back to and honoring the sacred self. And we must be willing to speak up without the fear of disapproval. We're not going to be able to get all the people's approval all of the time, but we need to get our own. And the fourth sign that you might be self-abandoning is that you are putting other people's emotions above your own. You put their comfort above your own comfort. What does that mean? It means you are abandoning the self. You have moved away from the self and you're more concerned with getting the approval of other people and making other people feel comfortable and safe rather than making yourself feel comfortable and safe. The healing journey is all about returning to the self and giving to the self what we so readily give to everybody else out there. So often we are willing to be everybody else's emotional caretaker and we don't become our own. We leave ourselves out in the cold. We must be willing to honor our own emotions, return back to the self rather than constantly being on the lookout about what everybody else needs from you. And the fifth sign that you might be self-abandoning is you feel disconnected from yourself. You don't even know who you are anymore. You might have even heard you say that either within your own head or to another person. I don't even know who I am anymore. And this happens oftentimes when a person is a people pleaser because they're so willing to do for everybody else. Everybody else comes first above the self. So this is all about returning back to you and really learning who you are, really honoring all who you are, attending to your desires, your wants, your needs, your inspirations, your excitements. What fulfills you? When you spend a lot of time trying to maintain relationships and trying to make everybody else feel happy, all of your energy is going out here and there's nothing left for you. You need to be your own best caretaker, advocate, protector, and lover. Take care of you first. We all know that old saying, put your oxygen mask on first before you put the oxygen mask on the person traveling next to you in the plane. This is because we will only show up a fraction of ourselves when we're not tending to ourselves. I hope you guys got a lot from this video today. If you have, I certainly hope that you give me a like, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. But most importantly, leave me a comment. Tell me what you learned today. Tell me what you're working on. And also ask me any question that has arisen for you during this video. I'm wide open to your questions, and I do my best to reply to every single comment left on this channel. I thank you all so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Remember, go love yourself.